everyone, and welcome to another episode with To Die For Games. I'm Mandi, the board gaming pinup girl. My fellow hosts are
Tracy, the gaming maven.
And I'm Stephane, the games teacher.
Beneath Nexus is an asymmetrical dungeon crawl game, plays 4 to 6 players in about 60 to 90 minutes, and is published by Silverclutch games.
So, we've got Beneath Nexus all set up and ready to go, so let's get to it. So, Tracy, we got the game all set up. Tell us, what is the objective?
The objective is for the heroes to defeat the Blight Lord and their monsters over 3 encounter rounds. The first 2 encounters, they'll actually be battling the monsters themselves that the Blight Lord calls. In the 3rd encounter, they're going to actually be battling directly the Blight Lord, trying to defeat them.
Components. 270 cards, consisting of 6 oversized hero cards, 72 hero ability cards, 4 oversized Blight Lord cards, 4 fronts and 4 backs, 60 spell cards, 30 monster cards, 25 treasure cards, 10 oversized dungeon cards, and a rulebook. Now that we have all our components listed, let's take a look at the setup specifically for the heroes. Stephane?
So each hero player will choose one of the available oversized hero character cards, and as well as take the 12 ability cards specific to that hero. They'll shuffle the ability cards and deal themselves a hand of 3 cards.
Now that we know what the heroes are doing their setup, let's take a look at the Blight Lord setup.
So the player who's going to play the Blight Lord will decide which character they want to be. They will take the oversized card as well as the character deck of 10 cards and the 20 standard spell deck cards belonging to the Blight Lord. Shuffle them all together, and then they will have a hand of 1 card per hero playing plus an additional one. Gameplay. Each encounter round will start with the heroes drawing 3 dungeon cards, playing them face down and choosing one. The Blight Lord then sets up the encounter according to the rules on the dungeon card. An encounter will end once all the monsters have been defeated. Any red-faced summon cards must also be defeated for the encounter to end. Some of the dungeon cards will have different conditions for completing the encounter. Each round starts with the Blight Lord's turn first. The Blight Lord is granted 1 action per hero in the game. Once the Blight Lord has taken all their actions, they end their turn by drawing up to their hand size. If they have more cards than their starting hand size, then they draw no cards. After the Blight Lord is finished, the heroes now get to take their turn.
Each hero takes their turn in order according to their speed, so fastest heroes will play first. If heroes share speeds, they choose which hero goes first. They may each take 1 action during their turn, and after they've taken their action, they end their turn by drawing 1 card. Heroes have a max hand size of 6 cards.
Actions and abilities that players can take. Taking an action. Actions are represented by a green gem. Actions can be found on spell cards, ability cards, character cards, monster cards, and treasure cards. Using an action costs 1 action on the player's turn.
Blight Lord abilities. Blight Lord characters have 2 actions listed on their monster phase card. These actions may be activated once per turn, and each consume one of the Blight Lord's available actions for that turn.
Spell cards. The Blight Lord spell deck contains cards that can be used both as actions and as reactions. The Blight Lord chooses the targets of his spell cards. Any spell card with a green gem is an action card and can be played on the Blight Lord's turn at the cost of 1 of their available player actions.
Note, reactions. Any card with a yellow gem is a reaction card and may be played on any other player's turn at any time.
Monster cards. Monster cards are drawn from the monster deck at the beginning of the encounter. Monster cards have both passive abilities, indicated by a white gem, and actions, which are indicated by green gems. Passive abilities are always in effect as long as the monster is in the encounter. Actions can be activated at the cost of one of the Blight Lord's available actions Heroes choose which of them will be the target of any monster action. If a monster is reduced to 0 hit points, that monster is defeated and discarded.
Hero abilities. Hero characters have one passive white gem ability and one action listed on their character cards. Passive abilities are always in effect as long as a hero is in the encounter and has 1 or more hit point. Actions can be activated at the cost of one of the hero's available actions. The hero chooses the target for their action.
Hero ability cards. Each hero's deck of ability cards is made up of the 12 cards. Some of these abilities are actions and some may be reaction cards. The heroes choose the target of their ability cards. Any card with a green gem is an action and may be played on the hero's turn at the cost of their available action.
So now let's talk about the encounter. We talked about rounds and how the encounter starts, but we didn't really talk about fallen heroes and the end of a counter, which allows us to draw treasure cards. So let's touch on that a little bit.
Fallen heroes. They discard their hand, cannot take any further actions this encounter. If any of the surviving heroes succeed in completing the encounter, all fallen heroes set their hit points to 6 at the end of the encounter.
At the end of an encounter, the heroes will draw 1 treasure card per surviving hero plus 1. Then they choose 1 treasure card each, discarding the rest. The Blight Lord is allowed to choose any number of spell cards in their hand to discard. They draw spell cards equal to the number of cards they discarded.
So the boss fight. This happens in the 3rd encounter. Tracy, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So what will happen is the Blight Lord card will be turned over to the other side. So there'll be 5 levels. The number of levels that they have to defeat is based on the number of heroes that are playing. So if there are 3 players, there are three levels of the Blight Lord. Basically, the heroes need to defeat all of those levels. So they need to bring all of those levels' hit points down to 0 to defeat the Blight Lord. If they do, they win the game.
So there you have it. That's how you play Beneath Nexus. So now we're ready to give our review of Beneath Nexus. What'd you guys think?
I like dungeon crawls. I'm from the 80s, so the whole 80s D&D kind of had that feel, just in a card form.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
I really enjoyed the card art in this one. The gameplay was pretty simple and easy to straightforward once we got through the rules. I really enjoyed the game.
Yeah. For me, I hadn't played a lot of dungeon crawl games, maybe when I was younger, but not recently. So for me, it was a pretty good game. I think overall I liked it. We'll go with that. So art and theme, what do we think about that?
Because I got to play Lamash too, because I got to play the Blight Lord. It was very, very spot on with the very traditional dungeon crawl art.
Right.
It definitely had that feel, for sure. I could feel it.
Yeah.
I felt the theme of the game was very well represented in the card art. The various characters and their abilities, and also the Blight Lord card as well. So I really enjoyed that.
So yeah, I too agree that the artwork overall was very nice. It was really pretty. I did have an issue with some of the symbols I felt on the card. I think we talked about this, about the symbols of the card not being on the front of the card. And maybe I'm getting ahead with game components, but the symbol, all the heroes had their own symbol that was assigned to them, and it was very obvious on the back of the card. But when you're playing a game like this, you're not really looking at the back of the card, you're looking at the front of the card when it's flipped and it's in action. There was no symbol on the front to show you who it belonged to. So I thought that should have been added in there. Thematically, I mean, everything fit the game really nicely, but I thought that was kind of, for me, I thought that was really important.
I agree. It would take them nothing to put the symbol on the front as well as on the back, so that it was an easy reference for that.
Exactly.
And the Blight Lords were a little similar. The faces to distinguish the Blight Lords were very similar, and because all the card color was the same on the back, it was a little bit tricky. Once you got it, it was fine.
Right.
But you weren't sure which deck was actually which Blight Lord because they look so much alike.
That's it. Exactly. It was the same thing with the hero. So that little thing could fix that. Which kind of leads us into game components a little bit. I mean, it's a card game. So we didn't have the markers in the game. We ended up using dice. But, so I mean, it's kind of hard for us to comment on that.
Those. The cards were pretty solid. They didn't feel like they're going to tear easily. So
Right.
I was happy with those.
Yeah, so it can only get better from here, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Similar games? I know, I'm
Well,
trying.
most, obviously any dungeon crawl game. So
Right.
this is a card version versus miniature. So you had any of those D&D like Dritz games, anything.
The Legend of Dritz or
Legend
the
of
Castle
Dritz.
Ravenloft.
Like you
or-
have
yeah.
one, in this case, you have one person playing like the bad guy and the Blight Lord, and you have everyone else playing as a co-op. So it's kind of interesting that way. I like that concept.
One thing I found, and we played it a couple of times, I didn't find the difficulty of the game was that high. I mean, we won, and the heroes won.
The heroes won, yeah, exactly.
And so I'm not sure if there was a way to, ratchet up the difficulty if you're finding it too easy, or if, it's something they've considered. Maybe they're designing it to be kind of an introductory game, so it's not too difficult. People don't get too frustrated.
Well, to be fair, I know the very first time I played, I was playing the Blight Lord, and it was a little tricky trying to figure out what my optimal plays for the cards were.
Right.
I was just kind of trying to just experience the different things. So I think it might have been more for me, a little bit of less. But I know at one point there you guys were struggling, and at the end of the second encounter, it's like,
that was
are we going to be able to do it? I kept throwing things out there, so it was good.
But I had that card. I had that the cursed card
object.
or the cursed object. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get rid of it. I had no cards at all that would allow me to get rid of it, and the way that the turn had worked, nobody could help me. So I was stuck with this card, which basically, I think I couldn't destroy any monsters.
You could only bring them down to one.
Bring them to one.
And I kept pulling monsters out.
Exactly. So I'm like, great, I can get it down to one, so hopefully everybody else can kill it, which never happened. So if my turn had been changed, the turn order, it could have happened, but because of the way the turns went, it wasn't going to happen. So I was stuck with this card, and that's why it took a lot longer for us to defeat, the Blight Lord. So that was my only thing. So I think that's about it, really. Do you guys have anything else to add?
So the one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing what they do with the little dials. Like we didn't get the dials, but I'd really like to see those make it more tactile, make it a little more interesting, I think.
Yeah. So there you have it. So final thoughts on the game?
I wouldn't buy it myself, but I would definitely play it if it came to the table. If I knew someone had it, I would play it.
Right.
Same here. I have a number of other dungeon crawl games, so to add this to my collection, maybe not, but if someone else brings it to the table, I'd be happy to play it. I really did enjoy the card art in this.
Perfect. And I agree with exactly everything they've said. We're all on the same page. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.